Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now February 4th of 2023. Now, one of the most anticipated Star Wars TV shows of this year, without a doubt, is the Ahsoka Tano TV series because of who it's going to introduce, like Grand Admiral Thrawn, for example, Ezra Bridger in live action, as well as Sabine Wren, and a whole lot of other characters from Legends as well, that's going to be incorporated into the story by John, George, and Dave. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And that brings us to exactly what's going on between Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, and many of the creatives over at Lucasfilm. So, right now there's a whole tug-of-war situation happening with the Acolyte show and Skeleton Crew, both of which are controlled by Kathleen Kennedy. There's been a lot of setbacks, a lot of production issues, in between each show. And given that John and Dave have been on a roll with little to no issues with Mando Season 3, Ahsoka, Mando Season 4, and a whole lot of other projects also in the early development phase besides those, it's been quite a smooth ride for John and Dave, but not really the same thing for Kathleen Kennedy. Now, on the subject of Kathleen Kennedy, she went on to actually talk more about her overall history at Lucasfilm and in the film industry at large. And one of the questions that popped up had a lot to do with whether or not she will be leaving Lucasfilm or if she's going to depart from the company. And she had a lot of interesting things to say that really hint toward Bob Iger trying to get her out by this August and replacing her with somebody else. She lays down quite a lot of subtle hints here and there about her departure, and it sounds like that yes, she is indeed departing from the company. So let's dive right into this. Now, with many new Star Wars TV shows in the works by Disney and Lucasfilm, creators John and Dave are getting ready to make some big announcements at Celebration. However, in a recent interview, Kathleen Kennedy went on to respond to a question about her leaving Lucasfilm and Star Wars altogether. Kathleen Kennedy went on to state the following: "Well, in this business, such as the film industry, it's always logical to have a backup plan and to expand your horizons in the business. From what I have learned, superiors eventually outgrow some of those that they work with, so it's always smart to keep a creative field in mind. I don't plan on retiring from producing at all, but I will say that my time at Lucasfilm will not be forever as a thing. There are always roads and different roads to take in order to achieve their goals, and I have some rather unfulfilled goals that I would like to achieve in this well-blessed career of mine as a producer." So let me just stop right here for 1 second. The biggest subtle hint here about the whole rift between Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy is how she went on to actually say how in this industry, many of the superiors eventually outgrow the ones that they work with. And without a doubt, she is alluding to, without telling us directly, that Bob Iger is in the process of getting her fired because he's tired of her shenanigans and getting rid of her by this August. And so, what she's also talking about these unfulfilled plans of hers and expanding your horizons, that's also alluding to what we have been talking about, of how Kathleen Kennedy has a new production company in the works called Starlight Productions. That's just a placeholder name, by the way, not the official name. And that's going to become a thing by 2025. And basically it's going to be a competitor against Star Wars, Star Trek, and Dune, creating a lot of sci-fi TV shows and movies. That may very well be another reason why Bob Iger wants her out, because she's already creating competition against Star Wars, as she's already hired by a company that makes Star Wars material, which is crazy if you think about it. So, Kathleen Kennedy is really laying down a lot of subtle hints here, and it really sounds like that she is beginning to accept her overall demise over at Lucasfilm as a producer, as a president of the company, and really just getting ready to pack her bags. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like through her words here. Now, of course, she's trying to sound very humble and very respectful about her career and about the people that she's worked with. But in reality, behind the scenes, behind closed doors, it's been quite a very nasty experience. between the creatives and Kathleen Kennedy, especially for the sets of Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte, especially Skeleton Crew, by the way. A lot of creatives, or more so crew members, actually were fired and or left the actual project because they were being overworked. There was a lot of overtime, and they went way past schedule. This show was supposed to wrap filming by October, and to this day they are still filming because they're doing a lot of reshoots. The main filming is finished, but they're doing a lot of additional filming right now that's going to replace some of the existing scenes. So overall, there's a lot of things happening with Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm. Let's continue. So she goes on to elaborate, from working with Spielberg to working with Hughes, and those like Mr. Iger and creatives like JJ and Ryan. It has been quite a journey, and I am looking to finding my next step and how I can expand that into something special. It's going to be very exciting. Sometimes certain brands and franchises need a new creative lead or direction. I am not at liberty to go into details, but I do have new plans ahead of me in the near future, and I will be keeping everyone in the loop as much as possible. I have seen and I have some pretty exciting projects and ambitions in mind that will become a reality in the future as well. So once again, she's hinting towards her Starlight Productions company that's going to take advantage of basically competing against Star Wars, Dune, and Star Trek. Now, obviously, Disney and the board has got to be very livid over that. The fact that she is already planning out a competitor against their own brand and IP, and how she's still employed over at Lucasfilm, that's a big problem, and I can see why Bob Iger would want to get her out as soon as possible. Now, so far, David Heyman is going to be the replacement for Kathleen Kennedy. And essentially, Kathleen Kennedy is, not approving of that. She doesn't want David Heyman to take her place. In case you guys don't know, David Heyman is the producer and the guy that was involved in all the Harry Potter films. He's also a big Star Wars fan, so that's great. Initially, they wanted Ron Howard. Unfortunately, that's not working out because he's tied up with a couple of TV shows right now, and his schedule is not really going to be all that free as much as David Heyman's. So, of course, they always have backup plans. They have, of course, backup candidates in case even Heyman runs into some trouble and runs into a lot of, busy routes down the line. But overall, guys, it's a very interesting series of events that have been happening the past couple of months, and everything related to Kathleen Kennedy, to Bob Iger, and the rift between the two. It's been a very interesting development, to say the least, as well. So, overall, I'm very much intrigued to hear what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.